Naam, karibu tena mpenzi mtazamaji wa makala ya The Football Slip. Weekend hii tunaangazia mchuano babu kubwa, mchuano kati ya Arsenal ambao watakuwa nyumbani dhidi ya Aston Villa katika ugao wa Emirates. Tutakuuliza katika mtandao wa kijamii. Nimehariri tu maana yake kuna kizungu kingi cha kina Robinson Kenya, Cedric Musumba na kakangu Shtemi Rogers. Sasa mimi nimehariri hapa, nauliza, je, unapigia upatu timu gani kushamiri katika mchuano huu babu kubwa kati ya Arsenal na Aston Villa ugani Emirates? Je, Aston Villa itakatiza azma ya Arsenal kutoa ubabe wa ligi kuu ya Uingereza weekend hii? Sema nasi, tupo katika mtandao wa kijamii @Hassan Juma, @R_Kenye, @Dennis Otachi. Alafu tuma ujumbe mfupi tu, SMS tu bila malipo 22151. Nipitie tu 2-3 tu kabla kuangalia slip ya hii wiki. Nani huyu? Arsenal watarambwa, yani kichapo cha mbwa swa. Watkins and Rogers to score and Quincy and it's Quincy from Kangemi Villa kichwa. Huyu ni Shiro. Hai ni Shiro from Vashu. Mtanikanganya na hivi vizungu vyenu. Arsenal itawagonga venye inafaa. Alafu mwingine kaandika Villa kichwa. Hai Hassan, ni hariri manake naweza nitumia ujumbe. The whole hi Hassan and the whole slip crew. Special request, please leteni Mkangai. Kuzoea nataka Mkangai. Ati? Hi Hassan and the whole slip crew.
Yes.
Special request, please leteni Mkangai. Atudanganye. Siko nimesema atudanganye na his biggest number 12 and some parts of heaven.
So next week, of course, we'll make sure that Stephen Mkangai is here in the studio to give us his views. Of course, he says that Manchester United is the best thing that has ever happened here on earth and some parts of heaven. So we'll be waiting to hear what he has to say about that. Right about now, let's take a look at our weekend sleep, where we do have the 10 picks. Kariuki Sharks will be at home taking on Ulinzi Stars. City Stars host KCB. Tusker take on Gor Mahia. Newcastle will be facing Bournemouth. Arsenal will be taking on Aston Villa. Manchester United at Old Trafford will be taking on Brighton. Juventus will be taking AC Milan. Atalanta versus Napoli, a spicy one. And then Frankfurt versus Dortmund, a game that has just begun. And Stuttgart will be hosting Freiburg. Hassan, we can't break the tradition. Wewe ndio unaanza.
Mimi ndio naanza.
Wewe ndio unaanza. We can't break that tradition.
Mkoa kitengo.
Yes.
Mkoa kitengo.
Sio jamaa break the tradition. Yes.
Sharks Ulinzi over 1.5. City Stars Stemina na Sedo mwaje kucheck up. City Stars KCB under 3.5. Tusker Gor Mahia X2. Newcastle Bournemouth over 1.5. Arsenal Aston Villa 1x. Man United Brighton over 1.5. Juventus AC Milan over 1.5. Atalanta Napoli either way. Alafu Frankfurt Dortmund over 1.5. Stuttgart Freiburg 1 or 2. Rogers, what do you make of my slip?
No, it is well calculated sleep, well calculated sleep. Because looking at what has been transpiring in the last episode of this show, I think you guys have learned the ropes very well, and you can't scrutinize whatever you come up with until we get the results. But based on what I've seen there, definitely maziwa Nora haiwezi kosekana hapo.
Ya Liam.
Si ya Liam tu. Maziwa mostly nakuanga Mkangai.
Mkangai Nora. So just 30 seconds. What do you make of my sleep, bro?
My only concern that you fear tackling the bull by its horn.
There's no which bull?
And
which bull?
That is why
which bull?
Put on the jersey.
So just tell me, I can change which bull. I've always changed my sleep on air.
This 1.5, 1.5. Just being safe.
But it's part of betting.
I know it's part of betting.
Is it
but
part of betting or prediction?
Oh, prediction.
It has actually taken me time to learn the rope. And I've come to realize these people, actually the traders outside there who actually invest a lot into this game, they rarely, if they want to get money, they rarely go this way. They either go a win or a loss. But if you go this way, they will always tell you that, okay, you will end up getting the results, but you won't have anything to put into your pocket.
Robie and check up. He's the king of Robie, okay, fine.
I'm not laughing at you. So if you're wondering where Mudo wa Murima, that is Daniel Kariuki, is, I remember last week alitukuroga akatupeleka kwa Karubazira. So he said this week anaenda retreat. He's trying to find his ways. You know, but wanasema kiendacho kwa mganga kirudi.
Ndio maana kimekosa kurudi.
Sijui itakuwaje. So let's take a look at Kariuki's predictions for this weekend. Anasema Kariobangi Sharks versus Ulinzi. There will be 2 goals in that match. City Stars versus KCB. It will go either way. Tusker versus Gor Mahia. Both teams to score. Newcastle versus Bournemouth. Either way. Arsenal versus Aston Villa. More than 2 goals. Manchester United versus Brighton. United or a draw. Watu wa United ni kama wamemea kichwa. Sababu saizi mtu wa Murima anasema United. Juventus versus AC Milan, goal. Atalanta versus Napoli, it's going either way. Frankfurt versus Dortmund, remember that match just kicked off a few minutes ago. It's more than 2 goals. And Stuttgart taking on Freiburg, it's going either way. So mtu wa Murima, next week he will be back here. Atuambie whether the retreat has worked well on him, and we'll get to see whether his predictions come to fruition next week. Now, that is all about Kariuki's predictions. Let's take a look at what I have for this week. Then we have Kariubangi Sharks versus Ulinzi. I see goals in this tie. City Stars versus KCB. KCB are currently second on the log, and if they win and Tusker probably loses to Gor Mahia, means KCB goes top of the log. And then Newcastle versus Bournemouth. Newcastle at the moment, of course, they are red hot. 8 games they've won on a row. They're taking on Bournemouth, a team that is also in form. So I see goals in that tie. Arsenal will be taking on Aston Villa after winning that North London derby, and Aston Villa getting a 2-0 win against Everton. There will be goals in this fixture, as well as Manchester United versus Brighton. 2 teams that, of course, are very interesting to watch. That is Brighton, Manchester United. Very interesting to watch to Manchester United fans. I don't know about other people. Juventus versus AC Milan. Juventus, a team that has been drawing. They have currently 13 draws in the Serie A. They will be taking on AC Milan. There will also be goals in that tie. Atalanta versus Napoli. Remember the first leg of this fixture, Atalanta beat Napoli 4-0. Very, very interesting. So there will be goals in the fixture. Frankfurt versus Dortmund. Also, there will be goals in that tie, as well as Stuttgart versus Freiburg. Now, gentlemen, before we move into the big fixtures of the weekend, Eshtemi, let me begin with you. Tusker versus Gor Mahia. Tusker currently are the top of the Football Kenya Federation Premier League. They're taking on Gor Mahia, who are, I think, 3rd or 4th?
They are 4th.
4th on the 4th, and then 5th Shabana. Yes. What do you expect? Why are you laughing, Cedric?
Shabana must pop in at the
Of course, they are 5th.
No. They are having a good run. You give credit where it's due. But looking at Tusker and Gor Mahia, this has always been a closely contested match, and the rivalry has been coming up in the recent past years because they are Gor Mahia are the record champions in Kenya, followed by Tusker based on what they have achieved in the recent years. So it's always going to define what might end up at the end of the season. So if Gor Mahia manage maybe to slow down Tusker's tempo right now, maybe they'll have an advantage. But if Tusker manage to get points there, definitely it will be theirs to lose. But also, you know, Tusker are really motivated with the performance of the leading striker, that is Ryan Ogam, who has been scoring goals so far. And fortunately, now he's back from Mapinduzi Cup and he'll continue from where he left off. So definitely, it will be interesting to see if he'll destroy Gor Mahia defense or they'll restrict him from scoring goals.
Roger, Cedric, and Hassan. Wesley Mtuku says hi. Asema yeye ni mtu wa Manchester, and he's hoping that Manchester United itapata ushindi against Brighton.
Mkangai is tuned in.
Yes, Mkangai. Please tell him next week he should be here.
Actually, but then I need to read this from Steven Mkangai. I'm tuned in. I'll be back from next week. Majaliwa. He's still typing. I don't know what he's telling. Sinisha soma Mkangai. So what are you typing?
Labda naomba maziwa. So let's move to the big games of the weekend. Let's begin with Arsenal versus Aston Villa. Now, Cedric Musumba, remember last season, we were coming close to the end of the season in the English Premier League. Arsenal was taking on Aston Villa. And Aston Villa, as they say, walimtoa tonge mdomoni, Arsenal. What are you expecting this weekend?
You know, the team called Aston Villa, is actually taking on Arsenal that merely both managers come from the same style of playing units. Both of them are actually from Spain, and they like putting their ball down. If you look at how Aston Villa is playing their game currently, they are looking more of the possession spaces, and they're trying to win that game from the middle. And more so, of late, I've seen them also trying to build from the back.
Yes.
Similarly, Arsenal will try to drive the ball all from all the department of their game. Rarely do I see them trying to bypass that midfield by maybe putting the balls on the aerial. And that's one of the area that, according to me, has actually been delving that Arsenal team. Sometimes you can't be winning with the similar style all along. You need actually to be so creative where that style doesn't really come out. Put the ball up the air, but they don't like putting the ball. When their ball goes up,
unless it's a corner.
Set pieces. Yes. That's why you will see them doing some drama in front of the goal. They like actually pulling from the offside position. Then when that set being taken, you're running. Those are kind of the training ground, the essence that, okay, there's a bit on eye, but you can't win a title of APL magnitude doing that week in, week out. You need to be reinventive and try more so in the essence whereby your strikers are getting injured. Your pinpoint players who would put goals behind the net are getting injured. You need to be creative enough and see which style will you employ. And that's where Aston Villa has been beating Arsenal when it meets them. Because at times Arsenal with their pressing kind of style, they will do press. Aston Villa, when Tielemans gets that particular ball, he just loop behind the midfield. By the time Arsenal are falling back, that ball is actually threatening the likes of Raya.
When we began the show, Shtemi mentioned one thing that, Arsenal are not clinical in front of goal.
They aren't clinical because the crop of players that are playing in front of Arsenal, they are not meant to be putting goals behind the goal. They are training on pitch. The likes of Kai Havertz is a midfielder. It's an offensive midfielder who cuts from the wing. We know Kai Havertz all along, all the way from Bundesliga to Chelsea.
When he was at Leverkusen.
Yeah, but when he comes to Arsenal, you want to play him like a number 9. You are giving him a role that is off his natural kind of role. And when he doesn't score, you come all gun blazing, actually castigating. I'm like, look at this guy's castigating guy. This guy is not naturally trained to be doing whatever you want him to do. He has been doing it for you, celebrating, thinking that that is the rightful number. Why do they actually allow the likes of Nketiah to go? Nketiah would have the perfect option to come in when the likes of Jesus has picked an injury, but that hasn't been the case. Now, right now, they're out there, they're liking to look for the likes of Sesko, they are going to look for the likes
they
of...
actually wanted Benjamin Sesko last season.
But it's so difficult, so hard to get a player of that caliber at the middle of the season. Because even this team seems actually to make a kill out of it. Who else will give you the best player on loan? What do they be doing that particular player to loan them out and then they go on losing games from their side? No one will allow Benjamin Sesko to come here in the middle of the park. They want him to continue giving them goals where they are. Neither the likes of Gyökeres, no matter how much you are, not unless if you go break the bank. And who will be breaking the bank at a particular time, and maybe he will come here and maybe flop or not allow you to get the trophy that you are chasing. So I think Arsenal need just to be smart enough, get that number 9 when the season is starting and get him at the right time. And that particular time, get like 2 or 3 number 9s who can compete among themselves. Moving forward, you ought to be getting the kinds of challenges you are facing at the middle of the park. Last time they lost the league actually at the middle. You remember, they started it very well, but when the middle come at the... And I've always said, Arsenal has always been bolting between December and January. When actually it comes that particular time when they started picking on injuries is when you started seeing them dropping points.
Shtemi, this fixture, as much as most people see it probably as a straight win for Arsenal, it's not going to be the case. A couple of injuries for the Gunners, and then you have to have it in mind that Unai Emery has always been hurting Arsenal when it matters most.
Absolutely, absolutely. And looking at the current form of Aston Villa players, you remember also there's some rivalry between Martinez, the goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez, because he came from Arsenal. So he's coming to prove a point. You let me go, but I'm here again to deny you another silver. Because definitely...
he won the best goalkeeper in the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
He showed them a middle finger that indeed you let me go, but here I'm proving myself at Aston Villa. And again, when he's coming at Emirates, this is another chance because, as we have already spoken, Cedric has alluded to it, that Arsenal are not clinical. And that's a fact because they're struggling to score this goal since Bukayo Saka was injured. And it has been happening like that. Whenever key player in national team gets injured, then the whole team crumbles. Now, their captain, Odegaard, is coming from an injury. He's just a pale shadow of his former self. He's not trying to be the himself that the Odegaard that we used to see a few years ago. And now, looking on the other side, we have the likes of Rodgers. Rodgers just trying to kill off many opposing midfielders that come in combination with Onana, and that's going to be a very interesting battle in the midfield. But what will matter at the end of it is the people who will score for a goal. The likes of John Duran is there doing his wonders, and then Watkins.
Morgan Rogers is back.
Yeah, Morgan Rogers is back. John McKinnon is there. So definitely it's going to be so difficult for Arsenal to contain the attacking prowess from the Aston Villa side, because once Aston Villa scored the first goal or the two opening goals, definitely it will be over for Arsenal because they can't manage to make a comeback and maybe secure a win. And when they lose that game, then it will be so difficult to keep the tempo on the leaders, Liverpool.
Dennis, let's go to Italy. The big game in Italian Serie A this weekend. We'll see Atalanta at home taking on Napoli. Now, Cedric, this is a very interesting fixture. Now, remember, Atalanta was the first team to hand Napoli their first loss of the season, and that game ended 4-0. Do Napoli have what it takes to get revenge against the Bergamo side?
Napoli of late has been actually on a positive drive, and as opposed to Atalanta. Remember, Atalanta is coming from a loss. I think it was beaten by AC Milan, right? Last weekend. And Atalanta has been, Napoli has been actually...
They were beaten by... it was in the, not this weekend, but the other week they were beaten in the cup competition.
Yes.
Yeah. And they didn't make it to the final of Supercoppa Italia.
Yes. And you see,
they were beaten by Inter Milan.
And you see, the style like what Conte like actually employing in all the teams that actually Conte has been the manager. Conte like building two lines of defense. And that's the same style that he has actually employed in Atlanta. And the middle pack, he has been lucky enough to bring in the services of McTominay. Remember, McTominay is actually coming to pair that particular with the likes of Lobotka. Lobotka, the other side is Anguissa. Those are players who can actually drive forward and fall back to defend. And when they defend, when they fill into that defensive line, they create a defense of 7 players. Breaking a defensive base like a Berlin Wall. You need to get actually the magnitude of very high kind of weight to bring down that particular. And that's what has actually making Napoli to go on. If you were to beat Napoli, you need actually to soak in one goal and maybe try to disorient that midfield pack, which is not quite easy. Remember, McTominay is utility in a way that if he goes up front, he gets goals. When he falls back to defense, he becomes a solid defender. Same to Samba Anguissa. When he goes up, that's last weekend, he scored. When he falls to that particular line, he becomes a defender. Similarly to Lobotka, and we have seen Lobotka actually in that particular team.
Last weekend, they got a 1-0 win against Udinese.
Yes, and if they happen to go ahead and score or supply Lukaku, who, and again, out of 10, maybe he can get 1, and those 10s are coming. These are suppliers who gives you chances like even 20 in that particular game. He goes, misses, they still supply him with those chances, supply with them. Those chances does not stop to come. So as Atalanta, who have now dropped through, I think 3rd in the Serie A, Napoli are driving the pack. They need actually to stop Napoli by winning against that. They are banking very heavily into Lukman, as you have put it here. And the other Belgium player who's called
Catalera.
Those are the kind of the player that they are banking on. If they don't click very well in that particular game, Atalanta is nowhere actually to surge beyond the first line of defense.
Who's winning here, Sedo?
Napoli will win against.
Napoli will win.
Napoli.
Htemi. Kvaratskhelia is out. Of course, he's moving to PSG. Briefly, how will that affect Napoli?
No, I think, of course, he had a good partnership with Osimhen, but now, Osimhen also left. So I really doubt...
A new coach came with different style.
Of course, that's always happened in football. When a new coach comes in, he comes in with his own philosophy and style of play. And sometimes it can favor you, or sometimes it can't. So for him, actually, it's time for him to move, because he achieved something historic with the Napoli, ending that over a long I think 2 decades so, title drought, to win it with the Osimhen in style, and now for him to go and try it out at PSG is a chance to get new challenges, and maybe, who knows, he can also do some miracles at PSG.
Nilisikia Arsenal walikuwa wanamtaka, but I don't want to delve into that. Who's winning this, Htemi?
Napoli.
Sedo amesema Napoli, Htemi said Napoli. Arsenal, Aston Villa, Htemi who's winning?
Oh my goodness.
It's a tight one.
It's a tight one, trust you me. I think
close contest.
The best will be a draw.
Best will be a draw. Sedo who's winning?
Arsenal at home is a different ball of kind of Arsenal. I think Arsenal will win.
Arsenal will win. So, Deno, let's, before Hassan takes a look at the feedback that we have, let's quickly run through the fixture that we have in different leagues this weekend. We begin with the Football Kenya Federation Premier League. Kariobangi Sharks will be taking on Ulinzi. Mara Sugar will be in action against Mathare United. Homeboys will be facing Bidco. FC Leopards take on Atalanta. City Stars face KCB on Sunday. That is when we have the big games for this weekend. Muranga Seal face Police. Sofapaka take on Posta. Bandari face Shabana. And Tusker will be in action against Gor Mahia. That is FKF Premier League. Let's move from that. We get into the English Premier League. A number of matches on the cards. Newcastle will be facing Bournemouth. Brentford host Liverpool. Leicester take on Fulham. West Ham battle Crystal Palace. Arsenal will be in action against Aston Villa. Aside from that, we'll see Everton host Tottenham. Manchester United on Sunday take on Brighton. Nottingham face Southampton. Ipswich will welcome Man City. And Chelsea take on Wolves. That's in the Premier League. Let's move to the Bundesliga. A match that is currently on the way is Borussia Dortmund away to Frankfurt. And then Stuttgart take on Freiburg. Bayern Munich will be in action tomorrow against Wolfsburg. Heidenheim host St. Pauli. And Bochum battle Leipzig. And then we have other fixtures in the Bundesliga. We have Holstein Kiel taking on Hoffenheim. Bayer Leverkusen, the defending champions, against Borussia Mönchengladbach. FC Union Berlin will be facing, well, we'll have to correct that. Werder Bremen take on FSV Mainz. Let's go to La Liga. And in La Liga, we have Espanyol taking on Valladolid, Girona face Sevilla, Leganés take on Atletico Madrid, Betis take on Deportivo Alaves, Getafe face Barcelona. And then on Sunday, Celta Vigo face Athletic Bilbao, Real Madrid in action against Palmas, Las Palmas. That is Osasuna take on Rayo Vallecano. Valencia will be battling Real Sociedad, and Villarreal face Real Mallorca. And then finally, we have the Serie A, where we'll see AS Roma take on Genoa, Bologna in action against Monza, Juventus host AC Milan, Atalanta take on Napoli, Fiorentina will be in action against Torino, and the other fixtures in Serie A will see Cagliari host Lecce, Parma battle Venezia, Verona will be at home against Lazio, and Inter welcome Empoli as Como take on Udinese. Hassan.
Tunazungumzia Serie A kwa sasa. AS Roma wakiwa nyumbani bin suluhu dhidi ya Genoa. Alafu ligi ya Ujerumani Bundesliga, Frankfurt wamefunga Borussia Dortmund kwa Kiamboni. Kwa hivyo Frankfurt 1-1, huku Borussia Dortmund wakitafuta bado
30 minutes played. 30 minutes played, right?
Naam.
So prediction yangu itakuwa mbaya. Dortmund watafunga.
Au sio? Hii leo tuko tunaangazia kati ya Aston Villa na nani hawa Arsenal, unapigia upatu timu gani kushamiri? Je, Aston Villa watakatiza azma ya Arsenal kutoa ligi kuu ya Uingereza kwa kuwanyuka weekend hii? Kwa haraka tupitie baadhi ya jumbe zenu. Ndio hizi hapa. Nani huyu? Nani Brian from Lugari, Arsenal will win over Aston Villa. Gotia hao wengine washoni mewasalimia. Hoja sijui shengi na changanya kidogo. Arsenal itawalaza 2-0. Arsenal are going to win. Ambia watu wa Liverpool, Man U na Chelsea wanyamazi. Mambo Hassan ni Aleki kutoka Fedha Estate. Arsenal kichwa. Nani huyu mwingine? Jackson from Kinangop, Arsenal 1, Aston Villa 2. Arsenal watarambwa, yani kichapo cha mbwa. Hizi ni feedback zenu, si zangu. Alafu nani huyu? Ati wacheni uongo bwana. We win at away match. So be fair with Arsenal. 2-0. Okay?
Arsenal watakuwa home. So as you take a look at the feedback, Hassan, Stephen Mkangai is saying that Cedric seems to understand Arsenal's problems more than Arteta. Sio mimi.
So mpatie kazi.
Yeah.
By the
Yes.
the vote, can Arsenal can Aston Villa stop Arsenal's title push this weekend? 46% say yes. 54% say no. So it's almost a close call.
Close call. Of course, thank you very much, Roger Zishtemi, for giving us insights on what we have on the cards this weekend. Thank you very much, Cedric Msumba. Zishtemi, you can wakupata wapi social media?
Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Roger Zishtemi. Facebook, it's
TikTok.
Yeah, muhimu. Technology, my friend.
Roger Zishtemi.
Roger Zishtemi.
Cedric Msumba.
Cedric Msumba, Facebook.
Cedric Msumba, Facebook. Of course, you can get to interact with them, get to give them your views also on what you don't agree with them on what they said here, and you can get to have a conversation with them. Zishtemi, tomorrow on the Standard Sports, what do we have?
Of course, we are looking forward to the league, the Kenyan Premier League, FC Leopards taking on Atalanta. And then, of course, the Rugby Kenya Cup. We have known this against Queens. That's, of course, the Ngong Road Derby.
Yes.
And that's quite interesting. And then in basketball, of course, Thunder, Nairobi Thunder. We'll try to see what they did during the bar. So we expect maybe such stories will be in the newspaper, and you can engage yourself better if you access it.
Well, thank you very much, Cedric Msumba. Roger Zishtemi, we'll be seeing you again next week. Hopefully, Mutu wa Mrima, that is Daniel Kariuki, will have finished his retreat. He will be back. And Mukangai has promised he's going to be here next week. So it's going to be fireworks next week. That is how we wrap up the Football Sleep. My name is Robinson Okenye. And...
Mimi ni Hassan Juma.
Mesau Jida.
Hassan Juma.
Oh.
Shabash. Hassan Juma.